Do you know what affects 1 in 3 gamers worldwide? It might affect you now, or it might affect you sometime in the future. And we're not saying the Dygma Raise is the be-all and end-all, but it can definitely help those affected. A few days ago, I met with one of our Dygmates, Elizabeth, a disabled and chronically ill content creator who gave us some interesting insights about accessibility in computer peripherals. She's shed some light on the fact that up to 30% of gamers worldwide are affected by some form of disability or impairment.
Hi everyone, my name is Elizabeth, but I'm better known online under the name Arevya, and I am a disabled and chronically ill content creator from Norway. I use my time online to talk about accessibility in gaming and how you are able to game better if you have any problem or need accessibility.
There's a certain stigma, at least in our experience, that's tied with the word accessibility. People tend to associate that word with the medical field or to senior citizens.
Often we think about accessibility sort of like grandma's house, and it is a bit sad, and I see it all the time, that when soon you talk about accessibility, you start making things that is like grey or brown or look like they're part of a hospital, and it's so boring. And the thing is that a lot of young people also need accessibility, and to be honest, I don't want my house to look like it's a grandma house.
Welcome home, child.
That is a vibe, it's just not my vibe. I really enjoy like the fancy lighting and the things that are shiny and go like ooh, because I can make it whatever color I want.
Accessibility is something that benefits us all. The ramps on sidewalks for wheelchairs are used not only for those in wheelchairs, but also for prams, suitcases, bikers, or skaters. In gaming, when you're watching the storyline, there are always subtitles or the option to enlarge text.
Accessibility, when we think about it, it is of course made for those who need it the most, but accessibility can also be used by everyone. We often like to say that you have accessibility for people who are disabled. They will forever need some kind of accessibility or help to be able to use your product. You also have those people who need accessibility temporary. So say that if you break your arm, or if you get like problems with your hands, or in an accident and you are on crutches for 4 weeks, you still need accessibility for those 4 weeks. And then we have situational accessibility. So say you are petting your dog or holding a baby, or you're like trying your phone while on the subway, so you need to hold your arm up so you don't fall over. All of those people can also use accessibility that is actually meant for people who just have one arm. So what we think then is that you have people who need accessibility that have broken their arm for some reason and it's just temporary, and also accessibility is used for people who just for some reason can't use their arm right there and then for different reasons.
Accessibility is more than just a disability. It's to enhance comfort and your overall experience when typing or gaming. It's there to lower the barriers for everyone to be able to enjoy the game. So how did she learn about us and the Dygma Raise? Talking about colorful lights, a peripheral that's suited more for gaming, I'd like to segue to the Dygma Raise. Is that why you decided to go for the Dygma Raise?
Every time I gamed, I ended up having serious hand problems. I have something that is more commonly known as arthritis in my hands. And when I type or hold my hands in any position over a long time or move it too much over a long time, I will get like soreness and stiffness and pain in my arms. And I had been gaming, my arms was like stiffening up and nothing worked. So I tweeted out and was like, hey, does anybody know anything I can use to be able to game? And a lot of people posted pictures of accessible keyboards. They look like they can be in an office.
Oh, and you, my friend, would be the belle of the ball.
But like, it looks really traditional office environment. May I say
Office aren't that bad.
Yeah.
Everybody stay calm. What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure? Stay calm.
No, but like, it looks like boring. office and not so fun. And I was just like, yeah, okay, but that's cool and all, but I have a streaming room, I have a gaming room, I want it to look cool and fun. I think I deserve to have nice and pretty things even though I'm disabled. So, but then somebody posted and said like, have you heard about Dygma? They make really pretty stuff. It's a split keyboard and you can tend to rise it up so that you might like hold your hands more in a position of how you would hold it when you hold a controller. Maybe that will help for you. So I reached out to you guys and said like, hey, do you want to talk about this? Do you want to like have a collab about this? And I got it sent and I've used it ever since. It's really good for my hands as it makes it feel that I can hold it in a more natural position. I'm one of those weird people who like put my whole hand up on the desk when I play games because I sit a bit like sideways and then I type away. So I really enjoy that because then I can split them like really far apart. It works really well for me.
This interview was so important to us because we learned a lot about how we can help the disabled community. In some way, we were previously ignorant of how much of a role we can play in this field, but we've now gained plenty of inspiration to work more in aiding this community. How do you think keyboard models could improve to help disabled users?
One of the things that I wish the Dygma had, or the Dygma Raise had, bigger text on the keyboard. Because when you have options, you give more people the possibility to give it the way they want it. So if I see a lot of keyboards that have bigger text, so sort of if you have any vision problems, you can still see what's on the keyboard. Because normally on a key, the letter is up in one corner. So it would be nice to see them have like bigger size letters without necessarily the keyboard getting bigger. Because that is often what we see is if you want bigger letters, the whole keyboard gets bigger because they also make the keys bigger. That isn't always the need. And then it can be problems with like moving your hands, your fingers so far apart. So that is something I wish to see more of. I also wish to see more creativity. Like one of the things I like with a Dygma is the fact that you can split it. So like it's that creativity of like trying new things. In general, I wish they just be open and ask, like your Twitter community and Discord community, ask what is it people actually need and want from it.
Unfortunately, this isn't seen as a priority for many mainstream brands, leading those affected with disabilities to feel as if they don't have enough impact.
As a disabled person online or in the gaming industry or in general, we are quite used to be put second in line. So we are not used to people actually listening to us. So I think a lot of people don't dare to ask because sometimes it can feel worse getting a no. You don't want to put yourself out there. And on the other hand, often we don't feel included. If you never see anybody like you online or in any commercial and anything like that, it is hard for you to think that this is something for you. But also I do think it's important to remember that not every person knows what they need. So sometimes it can also be a bit hard because you have a problem but you're like, I don't actually know how to fix this. Just the fact that you're sending the keyboard out to people like me who can test it for our problems, open up the window for other people to say, hey, I have similar problems, or hey, and then it's like a light bulb moment going like, haha, that makes sense.
But can every game be made accessible to everyone? Well, unfortunately, the answer is that not everything can be 100% accessible. But at the same time, nothing can be 0% accessible. Of course, there will be some barriers that companies aren't able to tackle because of the limitations of the design and manufacturing. But what is important is that manufacturers take the time to listen to their users, provide options, and give the possibility for the widest range of users to enjoy their product. With regards to the Dygma Raise, what else would you suggest we could do to make it more accessible?
I really do enjoy how it is right now. It is a bit pricey, and we sadly know that a lot of disabled people don't have as much money as non-disabled people because they are often not able to get into the workforce due to barriers in the workforce. But that is a long and hard conversation for another day. So I would like to see like maybe a cheaper version that is so more people can have access to it. But also in the program, I really enjoy enjoy the fact that you can program it to sort of do everything you want to do, especially with the macros. I've started using them in games to button mash for me. I played Dave the Diver the other day, and you have to do button mashing, and that is impossible for me in most days due to just general pain. So I just made in a trigger, so every time I pushed one of the numbers, it just button mashed.
It presses the key like 100 times.
Yes, 100 times, so that I always got to do the button mashing thing, which is so smart.
There may be only a few options for accessibility in computer peripherals, and if there are, they may look like they only belong to a hospital. But it is refreshing to see that more and more companies, designers, and people in general are becoming more aware of the true meaning of accessibility. As a final note, Elizabeth gave her advice for gamers with any form of disability to conclude our interview.
So my advice would be to ask around. A lot of times people know or have ideas that you have never thought about. And if you have a problem, I promise you that there is at least 100, if not tens of thousands of other people who have the same problem. And you are allowed to have as much comfort and fun in whatever you do as everybody else has. So reach out, ask questions, and also if you have any idea, let people that can actually make them happen know. Go to their Discord, go to their Twitter or X or whatever it's called now that we record this, and let people know, send them a mail, because you might have some really valuable knowledge that nobody else have thought about, but that can help thousands of people out there.